All right, let's talk about planning. We're diving into some key ideas from strategic blueprints for leadership excellence today. And it's all about one thing, turning those brilliant ideas you have from just a wish into something real. Let's get right into it. So, why do so many amazing ideas just fail to launch? Seriously, think about it. You've seen it, right? That awesome concept, that project with so much potential, and it just fizzles. It gets stuck, loses steam, or never even gets started. It's super frustrating, and it happens all the time. But what's really going on there?
Well, here's the thing. It's almost never the idea itself that's the problem. It's the fact that there's no blueprint, no plan. Without that structure, even the best idea in the world, let's say you want to build a new park in your town, it's just a daydream. A blueprint, though, that's what turns the dream into something real, something you can actually build. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the chaos that comes from having no plan. Then we'll get into building one, setting goals, figuring out the strategy, creating the action plan and budget, and finally, staying on track. Let's jump in. So, section 1, the chaos of no plan. And really, what does that look like? Well, trying to get anything done without a map is just expensive, in every sense of the word. Picture trying to build that park we talked about with no plan. You'd have volunteers standing around confused, you'd waste some money on the wrong stuff, deadlines, who knows? It's just a recipe for disaster and a surefire way to burn through your money and your energy. All right, let's start building, laying the foundation. This is step 1, effective goal setting. You know, every solid building needs a rock-solid foundation, and it's the exact same thing with a project. And in the world of planning, that foundation, it's your goal. It has to be crystal clear and absolutely unshakable. So what do we mean by a project goal? Well, think of it as your North Star. It's that one clear, defined outcome that guides everything. For our park project, the goal isn't just build a park. That's way too vague. It's more like open a 5-acre community park complete with a playground and picnic area by June 1st of next year. See the difference? Now, every single decision you make, you just ask one question. Does this get us closer to that goal? If the answer is no, you don't do it. It's that simple. And a really strong goal has a few key ingredients. You've probably heard of this, it's the SMART framework. Basically, your goal has to be super clear and specific. You need to be able to measure your progress toward it. It's gotta be achievable, realistic. It has to be relevant to what you're actually trying to do overall. And finally, it absolutely must be time-bound with a hard deadline. Our park goal? Yep, it checks every single one of those boxes. Okay, foundation's poured, we know our destination, so how are we gonna get there? That's the big question, and it leads us right into step 2, charting the course and establishing your strategy. I love this quote. The method of establishing strategies to achieve goals is the bridge between your vision and your reality. It just says it all, doesn't it? Strategy is the bridge. It's how you get from, I have an idea for a park, all the way over to, hey, listen to the kids playing in our new park. Without that bridge, your great idea is just stuck on the other side of a canyon. And this is a super important distinction to make, goal versus strategy. The goal is the what. It's your destination, the finished park. The strategy is the how. It's the route you're going to take to get there. So for our park, the strategy might be something like, we'll get the money from a mix of grants and local business sponsorships, and we'll use community volunteers to do most of the building. One's the destination, the other's the roadmap. All right, destination is locked in, we've got our route picked out. Now it's time to actually draw up the blueprints. Step 3 is the action plan and budget. This is where we get down to the nitty-gritty, the real nuts and bolts of how this whole thing is going to get built.
Yeah, this is where it all comes together. We're turning that big how, our strategy, into an actual to-do list. This is so important because it means the person writing grants, the person organizing volunteers, and the person in charge of construction. They all know exactly what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, and how it all fits together.
And creating this action plan is actually pretty straightforward. You just follow the steps. First, you list out all the key things that need to happen. Fundraising, prepping the site, buying the swings, construction, you name it. Second, you figure out who's doing what and what you'll need. Allocate resources and people. Third, you nailed on the budget for all of it. And fourth, you set your timelines and major milestones. When are the grants due? When's the groundbreaking? It's all there.
So the blueprint's done. The team is working, we're good, right? Well, not so fast. You can't just set it and forget it.
This brings us to the final and maybe the most critical step of all, staying on track. This is all about control and monitoring to make sure you don't drift off course.
You know, a huge mistake people make is thinking their plan is set in stone. But real life doesn't work that way, right? What happens when the company delivering the lumber for the picnic tables is a week late? Or a huge storm turns your construction site into a mud pit? A great plan isn't static. It's a living document. You have to monitor it so you can adapt. It's not about being a control freak. It's about being smart and agile.
And I mean, just look at the two paths here. Without monitoring, you're just drifting. You're wasting time, wasting money, and you're probably gonna miss your goal. But with monitoring, you're making smart adjustments on the fly, you're using your resources wisely, and you're making sure you actually succeed. For our park, one path is an empty, muddy field. The other is a grand opening on June 1st. I know which one I'd choose.
And the good news is you don't have to juggle all this on a notepad anymore. As Strategic Blueprints for Leadership Excellence points out, today's leaders have so many tools to help out. There's project management software to track tasks, collaboration tools to keep everyone on the same page, budget trackers, progress analytics. All this stuff makes every part of the process so much easier and more effective.
So when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one powerful idea. Effective planning is the most important step in leadership excellence. It's not just one of the steps, it's the step. You know, great leadership, great results, they don't just happen by accident. They happen by design. They happen because someone made a really good plan.
So I'll leave you with this. Now you have the framework. You've seen the steps to take an idea and build a real blueprint for success. So the only question left is, what's that great idea you're going to go out and build a blueprint for?